Welcome to the Greater Pensacola Chamber Toddcast, sponsored by Moorhead Real Estate Law Group. On the Toddcast, Chamber President Todd Thompson talks to the leaders that are making a difference and driving the conversations that will impact our community. Now here's the Chamber President, Todd Thompson.
Welcome back to the Greater Pensacola Toddcast. I'm Todd Thompson, President and CEO of the Greater Pensacola Chamber of Commerce, and have a special guest today. Very excited to hear from local small businessman, entrepreneur, author, jack of all trades.
Right.
Welcome to the Toddcast, DC Reeves.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm never bored. I just try to find something to fill up all my time. So.
Do you ever sleep?
Yeah. I always joke I feel like I live a double life, and the job that pays me, which is doing Chief Entrepreneurship Officer for SEI and Quint's Chief of Staff, and I joke the job that doesn't, which is entrepreneurship, and anybody who's been an entrepreneur knows what I mean. But if you did the math by the hour,
right.
It's probably not. I don't think I'm at minimum wage quite yet.
Yeah.
But it's fun,
right?
And we're growing business, and it's doing great, and so that's been exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Perfect Plain is love going there, and it's become one of those places in town that's kind of becoming like that, where people want to be, where and the growth of breweries, and it's just taken off. So it's incredible.
Yeah, it's been a fun process, and then expanding and doing Garden and Grain out back was a cool learning experience, and then we're going to expand one more time the end of 2020 and do the Well, which will be kind of our barrel aged beer spot, and like a higher end kind of refined but not too stuffy cocktail lab for us too. So we just signed that lease actually yesterday.
Congratulations.
And so we're excited to keep growing and expanding, and we're excited for what Chad Henderson has planned over there at the East Garden District. And, it's a fun time to try to do things and bring new things and unique things to Pensacola.
Absolutely. So you mentioned you are Chief of Staff for Quint Studer and everything that he's involved with. Talk about that a little. I mean, that sounds like a big job in itself.
Right, yeah. The number one question I get when somebody introduces me as Chief of Staff, they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, well, depends on the day. But it's the best way to describe it is Quint, as everybody knows in this community, is so passionate about doing projects that help this community. And so fortunately for me, when he comes up with a project that he's really passionate about, he kind of sicks me on it to make sure it can happen and that it gets executed. So it's funny, my background's in journalism. I spent almost 12 years doing as a sports writer, and the thing I liked a lot about it was that you did something different every day.
Right.
You woke up, or there was breaking news or something every day. And I liked the variety of that. And so weirdly, as my life has evolved into out of sports writing and into entrepreneurship and working for Quint, I still get that same juice, from getting up and working on different projects. So for example, the appointed superintendent referendum was a big thing for us, and we felt could really help change this community.
Right.
The Scape Waterfront project, I worked on that, and then the mayor's transition team in that report worked on that. And so, but this one that we're working on now, this Pensacola Entrepreneur Initiative that the Chamber's a big part of, PSC, UWF, Florida West, the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber. We're really excited about this, and this is really the first project Quint's ever given me that doesn't necessarily have an end date to it.
Okay.
So normally it's been an election or a transition team, and you kind of know where the light is at the end of the tunnel before you move on to something else. But the thing that makes me excited is, this is a long-term, project, and we're gonna try to make this a great place for people to open businesses in Pensacola. So that, coupled with the fact that that's my background, which is opening a business 2 years ago, I know more about this project than I've known about any of the other projects before. I've had to be take a crash course.
Subject matter expert.
Right. I had to take a crash course in waterfront resiliency.
Right.
I didn't come in with a lot of knowledge about that, but so it hits close to home, and certainly something I'm passionate about, which is meeting with small business owners and potential entrepreneurs, and how can we make that dream happen, or how do we divert you from something that may not work? It's not always that everybody's idea is going to work. It's that, how do we get the knowledge in place to make sure that that we can help grow businesses in Pensacola.
Right. So yeah, talk about the entrepreneur project, because as you mentioned, the chamber is one of the partners.
Right.
We've got great partners involved with it, community-wide effort.
Yep.
So talk about, I know we're very new. This is very just getting off the ground, but what's happening with
Absolutely, yeah. I'm excited to talk about it. So what we've done, to give a little perspective for people who haven't heard, we spent about 6 months really trying to do a strong assessment of where we felt like we were with our entrepreneurial ecosystem in Pensacola. We didn't want to presume anything. I could have gone out and said, hey, I just opened a business here. Here are the problems I ran into. But, we, in typical Quint fashion, we're going to go find out. We're going to go have objective data to go figure out what's going on. So we spent about 6 months doing that. We polled 134 small business owners, got their feedback, and talked with stakeholders in the ecosystem all over from all different facets. And we were able to take all that data and surmise what we felt were and shown in the survey, the three biggest issues, which one was mentorship. So we've brought in the MIT Venture Mentoring Service, which, as you said, the Chamber and UWF, PSC, Florida West, Gulf Coast Minority Chamber, and Studer Community Institute are all collaborative partners and bringing that here and making that happen. So we're excited about that. And so that was one. Another thing we found out was entrepreneurs just didn't know where to go.
Right.
What's the front door? So they knew there were services. They knew, and about, according to our survey, about 57% of small business owners hadn't gotten any service from the ecosystem. Now, in my mind, my analysis is the truth is probably that number's less, but maybe they didn't even know they were getting service from the ecosystem, but that's not their fault.
Right.
It's that, where's that front door? So the number two thing in that survey was, I believe the way it was worded was a clear, well-marketed path to the ecosystem. How do you get in it, and answer those questions? Do I need a business plan? Do I need what do we need? Or I need to know how to pull a permit, So the Spring Entrepreneur Hub, which is the umbrella of these three legs of the stool, the mentorship, the actual physical space, which will be at the SEI building at Garden Street, will be that front door. You'll be able to walk in and say, hey, I need to learn how to pull a permit. And we're not going to pull the permit for you, but we're going to get you to the right place.
Right.
We're going to get you to the SBDC. We're going to get you to UWF Center for Entrepreneurship, the Chamber, whatever. We're going to figure out who's in that ecosystem, and we're going to be, Quinn in his healthcare background refers to it as the triage.
All right.
Where let us triage you out and get you to the right place. Do you need training and development? Well, SEI's got some classes that may help you with your issue. So it'll truly be that one-stop shop to be able to come in and confidently that we're going to get you in the right direction. So something that's been talked about for years and years around here, and so we're really excited to try that, and that should be open in the middle of 2020. I mentioned the MIT program will be the first thing that gets launched. That'll be probably in March or April of this year. And then the last thing is the accelerator program, the Generator Accelerator program, which that we're funding privately for the first year, is that the MIT program is really going to be a big, wide cast net. It might be mom and pop restaurants, retail. We're trying to build the entrepreneur, right? We're not only accepting people that have 500 employees or anything like that. It could be anybody. We designed it that way on purpose. The flip side is going to be with the Generator Accelerator program. G-Beta is what it's called. They're based out of Milwaukee. They're in 18 different communities. Actually, their last community was Houston. Okay. And they're focused more on potential high growth companies. So they're the ones where they have the really intense training for, you're meeting with them 2 and 3 times a week for 7 weeks to try to get them, trained up and go get financing and go grow that business really, really fast. So, so that's the third leg of the stool. All of that will be under, kind of breaking news on this thing. Like you said, we're just, everybody will hear about it probably in the next week to 10 days. We'll, announce some of this publicly, but we're going to have those 3 legs of the stool: the mentorship, the accelerator, and the physical space, all under the Spring Entrepreneur Hub.
Right.
Again, supported by all those organizations. We've actually just learned Gulf Power is now helping with that effort as well, and entrepreneurship. So we're excited to get that going as well. So it's a lot, but that's what we're excited about. I mean, it's that we went. Let's find out where the silos are. Let's find out where the holes are, and go fill them. And the beautiful thing is, it's not. This rises all boats here. I mean, we're going to send people to SBDC and to all of these different functions, and get them not only more volume of people, but also the right people. That now the people knocking on their door, if we're doing our job, the people knocking on the door of these ecosystem assets are going to be the right people that they can actually help. Right now, you can't necessarily say that. You get a lot of, well, maybe you're at the wrong office. You know? And so we hope to solve that problem.
Yeah, and I think it's a situation where, people don't need their hand held. They just need to know who to talk to, get in front of the right people, like you say, to get the right information and, just kind of get them on their way.
People come to me and say, hey, you started a business in Pensacola. Where do you go? And my answer to them right now is, let me give you 8 or 9 phone numbers. And, you call this list. And it's well-intentioned. It's not to be evasive. It's that, I don't know, kind of. And so we're going to learn that, and we're going to figure out. And then we hope a year from now, but I mean, my own experience, I knocked on a lot of doors that were the wrong ones. And then they said, you're in the wrong building. It's next door. Yeah. So, through my own learning experience, we hope that if we've done our job correctly, if me and you were sitting here a year from now, everybody will know that's the place you start. Right. And we're going to get you referred and in the right direction to help boost the entire ecosystem.
Right. Right. So to me, the last decade has really been a lot of focus on quality of place. Downtown has exploded. I mean, it's the place everybody wants to be. We're starting to see that expand. You mentioned Scape earlier. Yeah. What's happening with the waterfront? So growing from the bridge all the way over to past City Hall and Bruce Beach, that's starting to happen. So it seems, and with this, the logical next step is, okay, working on the quality of place. Now we got to work on getting those resources for people to want, jobs and startups and those sorts of things to attract talent and keep talent here in Pensacola.
Yep. I just actually was on a phone call. Quint's, has been consulting with small and mid-market cities all over the country, kind of telling our story about, how we've grown and changed these last 10 years. So we were just on a phone call with a city in South Florida yesterday, and they say the same thing we say, which is, they actually have a pretty good downtown where they are. They're not, it's not a dead downtown. They didn't start as far behind right now as we were. Right. But they say the same thing. It's, hey, our community's getting older, and we want to keep our kids home, and we want to keep our talent home. And the end of the day, look, 90% of jobs are small business. So, right. What gets a lot of the headlines a lot of times is site selection and tax incentives for big companies. Obviously there's data coming out there that might, isn't the most efficient way necessarily to use those dollars. And people, communities are seeing that more and more now. But that being said, and I always say, look, if we have a recession, I'm not picking up Perfect Plane and moving it to Cleveland. Right. I'm here for the long haul. Whether my bank won't let me leave if we're in a recession. So, but I did it because I love it here and it's where I'm from. And so that's a key piece. When you talk about job growth and job creation, and don't let me make it sound as if small business. Some people call site selection the white whale, and I think it's Pat Rooney who said it, and then you call the trying to start that little small business and make it great is the white unicorn. There's pluses and minuses to both, but at the end of the day, to me, the game changer is the people that want to knock on our door and be entrepreneurs and start small businesses are much more passionate about the success of this community. Right. Typically, I'm not just generally speaking. So, but it comes down to exactly what you said, Todd. It's talent. It's not, it's not the shovel-ready land. It's the who's got the talent here, and that's why, it's been important to Quint to have investments in education in early brain development. Right. That's a 20-year project. Right. We don't get results overnight. But the point is if we want companies to move here, we want economic development, we need a better school system. We need, what can we do to improve that? We need a better, have kids ready for kindergarten. We need that.
Right.
And so I think people often don't associate the two. They think, here's an education problem and here's an economic development problem. They're the same.
Right.
When you want to generate talent, it's the same thing. And so it was interesting to hear this community talk about that, because they actually just were the other county in 2018 that moved to appointed superintendent.
Okay.
So there's a lot of mirroring. It's like they've made kind of the same observations and the same, thought of like, what can we do to keep our talent home?
Right.
And so yeah, quality of place matters.
Right.
And at the end of the day, our world that we're evolving into now, people have more options than ever to live wherever they want and work.
Right.
We want to be a cybersecurity hub. Well, you know what? All those cybersecurity students can do, live anywhere they want.
Yeah.
A lot of times, not all of them, but a lot of them. So how do you, we're not now challenging with who's got a better university in their town, what we're challenging is who's got a darn cool place to live,
right,
and have a nice beach and a great downtown and have a great vibe, and because you get to choose anywhere you want to live and work on a computer. So that's our new frontier, I think, is and those go hand in hand. It's not, just having a great ecosystem isn't enough if we don't have a great downtown,
right,
if we don't have a great beach and a great quality of life. And so it's an interesting new day in my mind in economic development, in that, it's a multi-front battle.
Right.
It really is. And they have to kind of work hand in hand. Education, quality of life, economic development, entrepreneurship, all have to kind of work hand in hand. And improve.
Yeah, I mean, it really is all intertwined. And if you're trying to separate one out, then you're taking you're taking one of your tools out of the toolbox.
Right.
And you really need to have the whole toolbox if you want to be successful.
Exactly. And we don't live in a fishbowl here. I mean, look at even just cybersecurity. I remind people, that comes up a lot, and it's a great, awesome opportunity for our community.
Right.
But look, Augusta, Georgia's building a $100 million cybersecurity facility. I mean, we don't get to just tell everybody to slow down while we, do you mind not building anything while we, become, a hub for tech or whatever. I mean, we're competing every day.
Right.
And so, it's a sports cliche, but like every day that we're not getting any better is the day we're getting worse. I mean, in a lot of ways. And I think that's in entrepreneurship and economic development and all that. So that's why I'm excited about this project and excited for things that are happening in our community, because I do think we're making strides every day.
Right.
And we're seeing them more and more. And it really has a snowball effect. And when you see that, and then we start getting on these lists of best places to open a business and best places to live and all that. And
best downtown.
Exactly. So that's the fun part, is we're starting to see that.
Right. And one of the things I think that goes along with that I've noticed, I mean, I've been here at the Chamber almost 5 years now, and since I started, what I've really noticed is, and I think this is helping, is that civic engagement has just exploded. You're seeing more people involved, coming to meetings, making their voice heard, and really having an impact on the decision makers. Talk about that a little in terms of, I mean, Quint has been on the front lines really leading this.
Yeah.
And just what you've seen over the past few years with civic engagement.
Yeah, exactly. Civicon, actually that's another, I forgot to list that project. So the first year of Civicon was, planning those events, and Christian Wagley was part of that board and really helped, kind of bring in the who's who. I mean, basically, I'm in the first meeting and Quint says, hey, look, you essentially have a blank check to go find the best people in the United States to talk about these subjects, and how can we get smarter? We can't rely on every politician in our community to go find these people or go across the country to a conference and hear them. Let's bring them here. And so I know one of the coolest things and one of the most rewarding things, even for me on the periphery, I imagine for Quint even more, is when you go to a city council meeting or a county commission meeting, or somebody's talking about a local topic on Facebook, and it's like, well, we heard at Civicon that.
Right.
That's why he did it. It's for that purpose. It's to educate people on what right looks like. And, sometimes when you live in a smaller mid-market community, we think that everything here is normal, and when you don't have that perspective of, hey, there might be better ways to do this.
Yeah.
There might be a perfect example. I met with Lisa Dees at the Downtown Improvement Board about parking. Mm-hmm. Obviously a hot topic around here.
Always.
Well, we brought in Donald Shoup, who's the absolute king of parking in the United States, and understands it, is quoted in every study ever, has written books on it. And I think if you would have asked me before that, I would have been like, no, I want free parking in front of Perfect Plane. For my customers, I want free parking.
Right.
When you hear him explain it and you understand, and he uses an example like Pasadena where it was desolate in downtown and the parking was free, and then which just messes with your mind.
Yeah.
But they started charging for parking, and then downtown got better. And it's because they were taking those dollars and making the sidewalks nicer and putting benches in, and now people wanted to lease the buildings because it was a little nicer and people took chances. So then you don't think of it that way.
Right.
But so Lisa, I wanted to meet with me, and so I knew it was about, we have old parking meters on North Garden Street. So I knew it was about, and I was like, hey, number one, I appreciate you meeting with me and not just dropping meters on in advance. But number two, I want to tell you right now, like, I'm all for it.
Right.
I'm all for parking, as long as, hey, whatever service is, being provided for that revenue is we're getting on North Garden Street, on the north side of Garden Street, I'm good.
Right.
And so that's just my own personal, I guess, metaphorical example of, like, it even changes as somebody who's administering Civicon, or did for a while, it even changed my opinion and my mind on what right looks like, and not knowing, if I'm in any other community, I'm like, wait, I want the free parking,
right.
And to help really truly understand that the type of impact that revenue can have, it was even a little learning point for me. So, but the civic engagement part has been awesome. And I think with vibrant community partners, with Quint's consulting around with other cities, that's actually one of the most popular topics, is this burning platform of upping the civic IQ of your residents. And, if anything else, honestly, if there's a disappointing part, it's that how few politicians are there.
Yeah.
I mean, we're might be paying $5,000, $10,000 for these national experts to come speak on topics that affect us directly. And, Lumen May is always there. Jared Moore is always there. Grover is always there. Sherry Myers has been there off and on. It's kind of surprising. Robert Bender's there a lot, but it's kind of surprising. I think Quint used the example that the entire, delegation, including Mayor Stimson of Mobile, is coming over and coming, to a Civicon to hear somebody talk, and it's there might be more elected officials from Mobile than there are in Pensacola. So, so I think if there's somewhere we need to grow and we need to develop, is we need to ask these county commissioners and these city council members to say, hey, man, we can't bring them any closer to you,
right?
And you don't have to agree with it, and you don't have to do anything about it. But shouldn't we all want to get better and smarter about what's going on around the country? So, so it's been a great thing, and I hope it's hard to track, but I hope it's made an impact in Pensacola and how we make decisions about stuff.
Right. I think it absolutely has. And like I said, I just noticed in the last few years, just the engagement has just exploded. People coming to meetings, I think is having an impact on our decision makers. And, it is unfortunate. You're using private dollars to bring people down to educate, and not always taken advantage of by the folks that really need to be there.
Right. Exactly. So I know that's something that we push and talk a lot about. And it's not to give anybody any grief. I just feel, look, if your job title is to say, hey, what's the best possible decisions we can make for our community, why not?
Right.
If we had I know it's a bad example maybe because it's a private company, but, if we had a national expert and running a craft brewery come down here, I'd be kind of foolish to not go.
Right.
That's what I do, and so that's what we kind of look about with the elected officials too. But again, we have some that are there, and all in all, it's been a great thing, and it's awesome to see people engaged in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So segue a little bit to,
sure.
You are a new author. You have a book that's recently out about your business and how to run a microbrewery. Talk about that. Talk about how that process and how's it going.
never thought that my first book, again, 12 years as a sports writer, I never thought my first book would be about opening a beer place. I thought it would be about, Nick Saban yelling at me or something.
Right.
All the stories of the road as a college football writer. But, it was an awesome experience. And the cool part about it is I actually just had a meeting with somebody who wants to write a book, and they're like, "Oh man, how did they find you?" And what? Obviously, Quinn has had Wiley has done a couple of books. That's how I met them. But actually, Dottie DeHart, Quint's book publicist, unbeknownst to me, kind of pitched this idea. It's like, "Hey, I work with this guy down here all the time. I think he'd be really good. You ought to reach out." So it was like the busiest time of my life at that moment. So I would have never volunteered. I would have never been like, "Oh, please, I'd really like one more thing to do for 6 months is write this book." But they reached out and said, "Hey, send us an idea." And so I felt like it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. Those don't, you don't get emails like that very often.
Yeah.
So, but it was a fun experience. And the way I describe it is there's 1 million people in this community or in this country that maybe not 1 million, but 10,000 people in this country that know more about opening a brewery or have more experience than I do. The difference is that this is such a fast evolving market that, a book about how to open a brewery in 2010 is obsolete, or in 2012 is obsolete. It's that the game changes so quickly, and it's like that in other industries. But the way I describe it is, it's not that I'm the national expert. It's that I used to be a writer, and I just did it.
Right.
And that's the key part, is that I went through the trials and tribulations of opening a place in the market that we're in right now, which is really, as people are starting to learn, focusing a little bit more on that taproom model and treating it really more like a bar or a brew pub, as opposed to trying to distribute it all over the place is now becoming, making more financial sense. Yeah. And so that's the kind of gist of the book. And I tell people too, I mean, half the book is things that can really translate to any business. I probably get just as many phone calls or emails from people, especially locally, that don't have anything to do with beer business, and say, "Hey man, how you hire people, or, how, community engagement and things like that still translate to people working all sorts of businesses." So yeah, it took me about 5.5 months, to write. It came out November 21st, and it's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all those places. And but it's been fun. It's been a cool experience. Maxim magazine asked me to write an article about.
That's cool.
So I joked, it was like 14-year-old me really loved.
Right.
That was one of the best emails I could have gotten 21 years ago.
Right.
But yeah, so that was really cool, and it's been written up in San Diego and Cleveland, and Forbes did a little blurb on it before the holidays. So that's been fun to see, and it's been a really cool experience. So I at the end of the day, I hope that it's that we can help breweries and other businesses out there, be just better companies and operate in a better way in this, especially in the beer business, just in this new era, this new age of how to sell beer and how to sell craft beer.
Right. So I think that's all the questions I really had. Anything you want to add? Any initiatives or stuff going on that we need to know about?
Not that I know of. I hope I should ask Quint, make sure that nothing changed while I was over here.
Right.
But yeah, what I'd say is people that want to be involved. Really, the next thing up for the spring and on the entrepreneur part is we're going to have a call for the first 10 companies that our MIT program is going to work for. So there'll be some information out there. So don't worry, you won't miss it. It'll be an ad in the newspaper and some stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll help get it out.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we want to, it'll start with 10 companies and 20 mentors. And once we get our feet under us administratively, we'll grow that. It's not an annual thing. It's going to be, once we are comfortable with 10 companies and 20 mentors, and we've again got our legs, we will start just on an accrual basis. We'll, add 5 mentors, add a couple companies. So we really want to see a lot of great, ventures apply. And even if they don't get in as these first 10, they will, they're going to be on our first Rolodex for when we start to expand the program. So anybody who knows great small business owners or entrepreneurs that would be interested in having the help of 3 or 4 mentors at once, which is the beauty of this MIT program, is you're going to walk into a room and you're going to have 4 people who have been successful in business, all helping you at once, just you. You want that kind of 4-on-1, 3-on-1 mentorship is what makes it really powerful. So I would say, to be on the lookout for that, and then certainly any updates that we have as the physical space opens, which will probably be sometime in the summer. Those will be the really 2 key things on our list. So we're excited, and as I said, this is a piece or an initiative that I'm really passionate about because I've lived it.
Right.
And I tell the story a lot that let's say 2 weeks before we opened Perfect Plane, I'd always show this slide to the rest of our staff that shows that I have 53 cents in my bank account.
Right.
And, and I just always say, if you're wondering if this is a hobby or not, this slide here should show you that this is not a game.
Right.
I've got a daughter, I've got a lot of things going on,
right.
and it's because I'm passionate about this idea and about you guys and about making, and building a great company. And so that resonates, with people going through those things like
right.
that and starting businesses with everything they have resonates with me as much as anybody else because I've been there. And so I'm very passionate about being able to help those companies, and I appreciate the Chamber's help certainly, and seeing our vision and making that happen, and hope to continue to grow and expand that with you and the rest of the stakeholders about the great things we could do with this spring. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me kind of share our story of what we've got going on.
Yeah, no, and we're excited about working with you, and want to support your efforts however we can. It's important, and just love the passion.
Yeah.
Love.
Well, thank you.
And congratulations on all your success and what you do for our communities. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, it's because of it's not just financial support. It's really about having that organizational support where we're saying, hey, Pensacola Chamber, we need to find companies. We need to find mentors.
Right.
Hey, UWF. That's what the collaboration isn't always just about money. It's about how do we get strength in numbers and have these great organizations, all going towards this common goal
right.
of help it. And so that's why, y'all's participation is so important, and the name that you bring and the credibility that you bring to us. So thank you for that. And like I said, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. DC Reeves on the Toddcast. We'll catch y'all next time. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Toddcast. To learn more, check out the Greater Pensacola Chamber's Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at ToddcastPCola. That's Toddcast, letter P, colon. We hope you join us again next time on the Toddcast.